Welcome back to the Freak Show, everybody. It's your host, Devin Eisert, and my gay best friend, Robert,
Robert.
for round two. All right, Robert, we are
Okay.
continuing our talk about dating. We kind of talked about the online apps and everything before, but now we're going to kind of transition more into the atmosphere and setting and people's personalities and different like like things that may happen when you're out in public with a person.
Okay. Cool. So,
Go ahead.
well, I, if you're going to go on a date with somebody, you have to tell your close knit friends because if you bump into them and they see you, it's going to be embarrassing. Not in a bad embarrassment way, but it's going to catch them off guard and it's going to catch you off guard and then it's going to crumble because you've built up the confidence to go out and meet face to face and then it's like boom, I didn't realize they was going to be there.
Yeah.
um, so and then that puts that person on spot too because then they start asking questions. They're like, well, how long have y'all been talking?
Yeah.
How, well, is this y'all's first date? What are
Hmm.
y'all going to do after this? And that it just the social setting, it plays back into the mentality.
Yeah. Um, I know sometimes I'm guilty of it when, I'll go on a date and then when I go out and people see me, I just get roasted immediately on the spot. Or they'll say, like, if the girl's name is Amy, for instance, they'll be like, oh, this must be Karen that you've been talking so much about, and then just get instantly dogged on, and then there the girl just like looks at me and it's just like just yeah,
Yeah,
boom.
yeah. That it plays into that in both aspects because if you're really interested in talking to somebody and like you and Salita knew
Hmm.
who I was talking to, and a couple other close friends knew,
Yeah,
and because I just don't broadcast it because I don't know where it's going to go.
yeah,
And that was just a lesson learned over the past couple of years of getting back dating, seeing people or, you know, doing whatever. But I think that's the biggest thing is when you catch it off guard because you have to make those connections with people like we talked about last time
hmm,
is don't just um, bushwhack the hell out of something and boom, it's a surprise.
yeah,
You know, if you know your friends go to this particular part of town to hang out and do something on a Friday or Saturday night, pick somewhere else to go
hmm,
before you introduce them to your friends because I would say a golden rule for me, I have to talk to somebody probably 2 to 3 months before I start doing like actual introductions
okay,
because I also want to give the respect to that person of so I have a diverse friend group. Let me break down my friend group on who is kosher, who does what,
yeah, different
you know,
personalities and
and
everything.
how they
Yeah,
perceive things because that's one thing that I'll say that in in both straight and gay is when you go out in public, you're always going to have those people that are just kind of calm, reserved. They're talking it through it, they're being it, and then you have those others that they have to make the scene to be acknowledged. And I've had people tell me that before. Um, I would have friends that get pissed off, and they was like, "Oh, well, why did they run up to you?" And it's like because I just walked in the door.
yeah,
Versus I didn't come in already shit faced or like just boom and making a scene of like, hey everybody, Robert's here. Let's 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 get the party started. It's more or less, hey y'all, how's everything going?
hmm,
Because then that sets the tone. Even when you're dating somebody, you can tell. Like I can tell instantly of if it's going to be too much or if it's just going to be boring.
yeah,
And I learned that lesson from last year when I was told that it was too that I was too much. So
yeah,
when you say it's too much, define too much when you're dating somebody. Is it too much that they have a stable job? Is it too much that they have other things in their personal life that they value and take time in and they take pride in? Or is it too much of a personality that you're not used to having somebody exude confidence or, you know, be outgoing in a social setting and talk to complete strangers?
yeah.
Um,
And when you just said that about outgoing in a social setting, so Um, whenever I go out with a girl, like I would say about 75% of the time, they're very kind of like shy, passive aggressive. They're very quiet in a sense. But then there's that other 25 that are out there that are super loud. They're like, they know everyone at the bar or whatever. And it's just kind of like,
Red flag.
yeah, red flag for sure. That's a big red flag. Um, so for you, what kind of I prefer the more passive aggressive quiet just to kind of get to know them and just kind of just have that one on one, not just going crazy and berserk like the first time meeting. What is kind of your perspective on the difference between being very loud and outgoing first time meeting or very shy and quiet
For me, it needs to be in between because I have a very outgoing personality,
that you do?
but I also am. I can be reserved in a situation. My mom taught me how to act when I'm out in public.
Mhm.
If everybody's having a good time, we're gonna roll with the good time. If everybody is relaxed and it's like a nice, like when we went to dinner when we were planning the surprise trip for Salida,
Yeah,
that was a relaxed environment.
yeah, very quiet.
Like very quiet. We were discussing plans, but if it's like an actual boom, 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 it's different. But if you go from one extreme to the next, like don't I can't do the oh well I'm shy. I really don't.
Mm.
And then like 10 minutes later, you're balls to the walls, and it's like, wait a second. Like I know I'm bipolar, but what you just showed me was like, holy shit, you're like quad polar because
Quad
you
polar.
went from one extreme to the next extreme with no pause inside, no yield. Like
Yeah,
there's no, you just went, zoom.
that was like a massive personality switch.
Yeah. And it's like, and like I'll say the number one thing with me is when somebody, like if you're talking to somebody and you're dating and you go out on a couple of dates and then they hit you with the, well, my mental health is not where it needs to be.
Hmm.
Okay, first of all, before you even engaged in dating, you shouldn't have done that if your mental health is not where you need it to be at
Yep.
because that sets triggers and it sets you back. And then this is last year after I stopped talking to the one guy. Over the summer, it was like, damn, I need to self evaluate. So I did what people were like, oh, that's crazy. I would never do that. I did a self date. There was a time that I took myself to dinner by myself, enjoyed what I wanted to eat, and not been went into a movie by myself just to have that time because my mental health wasn't there to just, oh, I want to jump to the next. And I think that's the problem that we have in our community is you get out of a relationship and then you're looking. You're looking, 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 and the hamster wheel is still spinning, spinning, spinning. And
Yeah.
then you're in the social settings, and then boom, something triggers. You see a friend of the person you talked to before, and you're like, oh shit, that ruins it.
Yeah.
Because you hung out with them at some point when you talked to them. And that's why I say that that's the 3-month dating rule is before you introduce them to your friends. Because sometimes your friends switch up and they become friends with your partner.
I have had that happen.
And then
Yeah.
they don't want anything to do with you. And you're like, man, fuck, I introduced y'all. And now y'all are best friends?
Yep.
No, that doesn't work. So I'm very cautious about it. And that's the thing, like, um, with my diverse friend group, you and Salida probably know a lot more. And then I have levels. And like I consider everybody that I'm very close with best friends, but there's level of things that I go to them for. You see the memes all the time of who to go to for specific things. I have this one friend that teaches me logic, and I have this one friend that is telling me be toxic. Sorry,
And
Salida.
you and Salida teach me common sense. A little bit of that.
We're trying to teach him toxicity.
Toxicity.
101
Toxicity 101.
from the gay and the girl,
Yeah.
just to learn how to play the game. But no, but personality types, and that's something else too. Like if I'm going on a date with somebody, what's your zodiac sign? Because
I'm an asparagus.
so I want to look at that because you can tell a lot from somebody and how they demeanor
Hmm.
with everything that goes on.
Yeah.
I'll say Tauruses with me are very laid back, whereas a Virgo is very essential to the fact of it's me, 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 me.
Mm.
A Gemini is a flip.
Okay.
I could never date a Capricorn because we would be in jail because I'm a Capricorn.
I'll be bailing you out. Got it.
Do not have Salida as my attorney. But, you know, you got to do the research as you're dating and make the dates. I think one of the biggest mistakes about a date is when you do the first date, you add so much anticipation into the social setting of, oh, we're going to go to dinner, and then we're going to go to the skating rink, and then we're going to go to the movie, and then go to the Riverwalk after. That's too much on a first date. That
Yeah.
is too much on a first date. Unlike
Yeah.
gays, it's kind of like, oh, we're going to fuck, and then we'll maybe go somewhere and eat.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you break that stigmatism? Because you could be talking to, and I don't know how it is now in the hetero world, so to speak, but in our world, it flips.
Yeah. We talked
Like,
about that last time, how it's the complete opposite.
it's like,
It's
oh,
com-
I'm talking to this guy,
Yeah.
and then come to find out, oh shit, he talked to my friend 3 months ago.
Mm.
So that's when you're dating in that social. That's why that 3-month rule has to play effect with everybody.
Yeah.
But social settings, you got to name the place and you got to pick the personality type of what that person's going to do. You can do the sweetest date or you can do the raunchiest date, depending on what you're looking for from that date.
Yeah.
Going to the bar and getting fucked up is a hookup.
Mm-hmm.
Flat. That's the end of it. There's no more. Taking somebody on a date and then progressing to the next date of, hey, well, I was wondering, would you like to do dinner and maybe a movie, or is there something you like? What is something you like to do?
Yeah. And I feel like too sometimes, you know, when I go out and we've talked for maybe a few days and the anticipation is so high that I want it to work, I sometimes find myself forcing the situation upon them, you know, to make it work, even though it's a clear sign that it's not going to work. And I've kind of learned in the past year or so to just let whatever happen and
Yeah.
then carry on with my life.
And do not seek closure from any of it, because I think that adds on to the mental anguish that you give yourself. Is if it doesn't work, don't seek closure. Don't revisit it. Just let it go, because I used to be that type of person, and I wanted so much closure last year from the guy that I talked to that it was a continual pattern. And then I was like, I need to stop because it's done. It's over. Finito.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's going to change it. It is what it is. And when you seek closure, it's just adding into the next stigmatism for you of, okay, so this is what I did. This is what I did wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Versus, because when somebody's going to give you closure, they're not going to give you their end of why it didn't work. They're only going to give you, well, it was your fault why you did this.
Yeah.
And this is why it didn't work. And then you did this. And that's where I come back to the whole narcissist smell out like a lion pride of boom, boom, boom. And then you have to set yourself up for that. And so, like, if I'm getting ready to go on a date, we talked about music last time, and if I'm going out, I pick like 2 or 3 songs while I'm getting ready to hype me up, because that's going to change my mental state.
Yeah.
Everybody has mental health issues. Everybody has them. It doesn't matter if you're in a happy marriage, you're in a failing marriage, or you're dating. Everybody has mental issues to where they feel inferior in some aspect, but you have to change your mind frame. You can't play the pity party, because then people sense that when they go out on a date with you.
Yeah.
You might be like, I think I have great confidence, but there's times that when I get ready and I'm like, oh God, what if I blow this shit? What if, like, oh my God.
Straight belly flop.
Like even when I was coming to meet you downtown with Carrie,
Yeah.
like I was panicked because I knew who you was, but I didn't know who you were.
Mm.
And then you added somebody else into the mix, and I'm like, oh my God.
Surprise.
Surprise. And me and Carrie get along because we're Capricorns. I mean, we just don't give a
Yeah.
shit. It is what it is. But you know, that's where people have to take that stigmatism out of their mind of what their previous relationship did. Yes, you can sulk about it, but don't overexpose it to where the other person knows. Like sharing so much information on a first date is, well, what are some of your hobbies?
Mhm.
are not, you don't come out with, well, why did your last relationship end? Like,
And I find myself asking that question probably in the first top 10 questions. Yes,
don't
I'd be
ask.
blowing it. But that is a good topic too about that is asking like those questions. And then I feel like with this online dating here, I find myself, on the apps, I'll see a girl, I'll match, I'll talk, they'll get off, I'll jump off, but I'll get back on. I won't see them for a while, but then they'll be back on and I'll ask them like, hey, what happened? And like, oh, that situation didn't work out. And like you said kind of about the whole topic of that is it's too fast. And I feel like everybody's just in this panic mode of, is this guy or girl going to fuck me over immediately after getting out of something that did
Yeah.
fuck them over?
And that is dating in this culture now, because I'm the type of person that if I'm, like I said last time, if I'm interested in you, I'm interested in you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people get, not my friends, not, they don't get ghosted, but like, if I'm talking to somebody, I don't post on Snapchat a lot. I don't post on TikTok and like all of that. But if I'm not talking to somebody, y'all are like, God damn, he's got like 35 stories. Like, what the hell is going on? Oh, because I was bored. So you have to take yourself out of that, and that's something, when your gut is telling you eh, and
Mm.
your brain is telling you eh, and your heart's like, oh, I really like her or I like
Yeah.
him. Um, First of all, let the shit out, go sit on the toilet and take a shit,
Yeah. Okay.
clear your mind, because it's being clouded. Because your heart and mind have to come together when you're going to date somebody and you know that it's going to go the way that you want it to go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, instincts tell everything. And I think I've made this joke with you and Salida before. Being a gay guy with a woman's intuition is like a superhero power, because we'll be spot on about it, but we don't take our own advice.
Mm.
And we end up hurting ourselves even more. And then we become closed off. And then they're like, oh, well, he's stuck up or he's rude or whatever. No,
Yeah.
it's just, I don't feel like associating with it because of the dating patterns are so meticulous. I don't want to, I have a rule. I have some very attractive gay friends that are single, and I think the world of them. I will never date them.
Yeah, because that would lose that
I
friendship.
would
Yeah.
never date them. I will never hook up with them. I would never do anything but hang out with them. They'll get a hug, high five, handshake, whatever. But I'm not going to date somebody that I think is a good friend, because I think of good friends as family.
Yeah.
And when you introduce those good friends to somebody you're dating in a social setting, do not take them to the bar,
Yeah.
because you're going to have your friends outweigh the potentials that are coming in with that date, if that makes sense. Because, like we talked about last time, the one guy and the girl, that girl was ambushed. And I wholeheartedly, like, after rewatching the podcast, I relived that moment while we were at that bar with her and seeing how devastated she was being introduced into a mix of people
Yeah.
without a cautionary statement, or hey, I used to talk to this one, or I mess with this one, or whatever, and we're just really good friends. Because that can happen.
Yeah.
You can mess with people and then you can end up becoming good friends with them. But I'll tell you, dating in the social scene, you have to be meticulous in how you plan the date, how the date is going to go, where you're going to go, and how long the date is. Not saying put, if dinner is going to be an hour and 30 minutes, great. And then if you end up going for a walk somewhere because you're having the conversation, um, like the guy that I'm talking to now, our first date was probably 3 hours.
Nice. That's a good time.
Like, dinner was like an hour and 30 minutes, and then we sat in the downtown square and had ice cream, just sat there, talked. And that's how our dates normally go. Like, this is like dates, not BS.
Yeah.
But online dating versus social dating is a lot different. Like, if you could go back, if everybody could just take off their technology and just go meet somebody in person, you'll get the vibe right then and there. Because you could facade somebody all day long online,
Yeah, easily.
and it's you're like, what the fuck did I get into?
Yeah.
Like you think you're walking into this emo supermodel, and you run into Mama June like, whoa, bitch, that's not what your picture looked like.
I don't get me started on that one.
Like,
I'll save that for the next podcast.
that is the wild part. Social setting dating is crazy. But before you do go on official dates, make sure your mental health is 1,000% ready, because you could get rejected on the first date and be like, I had a really great time. I just don't see a second date.
Yeah.
And if people could just be honest and say that instead of going through a text message. We're grown ass people dating. Like well, I'm sick. Okay, that's bullshit. Why not just say, hey, I had a great time on our first date. I just don't see it going further. Don't lead somebody into an expectation after the first date unless it's going to be 100%.
Yeah.
Or you can play the game with them. You send the response. They don't respond. Give it 3, 4, 5 days, and then when they respond, don't respond for 2 or 3
Yeah.
days.
I am the second I don't get a text for more than 3 days, I am not responding, and I'm actually doing a good job on that. But for like my friend, if I have like the female friend side, I send memes here and there, and then they'll hit me back up, and I continue that. But other than that, I keep it very professional, and I think you summed that up pretty well on the social setting. I want to thank all the viewers for making it this far through the video. It's also Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, by the way.
Correct.
I will be dropping a video on that this Friday. This video is posted today is Wednesday. Well, tomorrow is Wednesday, but
Wednesday. Yeah.
there'll be a men's mental health video on Friday getting posted. I want to thank you for stopping by, and I'm looking forward to going out partying later.
Yeah. Just one thing, like mental health for men, it is just like it is for women. It's very deep. You could sum up a lot of stuff by discussing mental health, and that's something that sucks with the government is mental health coverages, insurance coverage sucks
Yeah, it's very low.
for it. But I had a great time. Devin let me use a nice little cup with is this a bear?
It is. Shout out to
Devin likes bears.
Healdsburg, California. My favorite brewery down there, Bear Republic. Cheers.